done these last three series with three distinguished personalities. Today we have a very special guest. And the main purpose of this series is to not discuss COVID, but the positives of it and get to know the business leaders well. Because we all are apprehensive about business leaders. We always feel HR leaders are more sympathetic, empathetic, and they are more close and they are more approachable. But this series brings us to the information that what we can know from a business leader, what we can learn from them, and how we can take the learnings and invite them. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr.Ayan Das. Before I move ahead and introduce Mr.Ayan, I want to thank special mention to Mr. Pankaj Bansal, CEO of PeopleStrong, and VP Marketing, Ms. Kamakshi, for their entire support and coordination who helped us to get this session organized and introduce Ayan. Mr. Ayan Das is a well-known personality and HR tech and a process transformation specialist with over 12 years of experience in shared services, process transitions, and customer success. He is one of the founding members, joined the company in the initial year, and currently heading the customer success function for PeopleStrong, human capital management, business compromising of SaaS, HR shared services, and payroll services. I is responsible for some critical business top and bottom line, tech adoption, HR analytics, working closely with transition team, delivery team, and product team to ensure seamless customer onboarding, ongoing service delivery, technical support, and product lifecycle management. That's a big gamut of responsibilities which he handled. Prior to this, I was heading the shared services and played an integral part in building the shared function in one of the most important customer-centric, delivery-focused, and outcome-driven verticals. Have championed multiple large and medium-sized implementations, including the setup and successful driving one of the first India's 1800 toll-free HR help desk and one of the largest India's shared services in the automobile sector. He has varied experience in multiple industries of telecom, IT, FMCG, manufacturing, engineering, and is an alumnus of prestigious XLRI Jamshedpur and a bachelor's degree in mass communication from North Bengal University. He is awarded with Purple Crown Award in August 2014 from PeopleStrong and for transition and implementation of one of the delivery of HRO projects with Mahindra and Mahindra Auto Farm sector. He was also awarded, and that particular project also won the Asia Pacific Program of the Year in 13-14 by HRO today. Mr. Ayan, we welcome you on this particular series, and we are grateful that you could take out your time and come closer to the Sampark and the HR audience who will be joining us and are watching this on FB Live. So, taking this discussion forward, my first question to you is: your role acts as a bridge between HR operations team and the HR decision-making team. How do you elaborate and mention about this journey of entire over 12 years with PeopleStrong in varied roles? What do you have to say about this journey?
Sure. So I'll give you a quick background of how this journey has been. So it's close to 15 years now that I've been with PeopleStrong. So of course I started as a part of the delivery team. So I was managing complete back office operations, and we had payroll services and HR services. But this was somewhere towards 2011 and 12 when PeopleStrong took the product journey, took into the product journey, and all of us started focusing more towards the product side of it, right? And this is almost 2.5 years back when I was asked to, lead the complete, in fact, set up the complete customer success function for PeopleStrong. And so currently I manage the customer success as well as, the account management function, the key account management function for PeopleStrong. So that's how it has happened. So my shift, the one that you're mentioning, talking about, it has happened from being a HR process person, right? From there, I've moved to someone who's looking at a customer's end-to-end success, whether they've been able to achieve the ROI that they're looking for, and at the same time look at the top line and the bottom line from a PeopleStrong perspective. Because currently, in the current setup, so it's HR that I sell, right? So from process management, managing onboarding, managing exit, managing separation, and all of that huge large scale back office shared services operation, to completely, a kind of a P&L kind of a stuff is where I've moved to currently. So that's how journey has been.
Great, thank you so much. That was exciting, and we'll know more about it.
Sure.
What inclines you to keep associated with PeopleStrong since beginning and emphasize some of the best people practices? Because it's difficult in today's world when we see, except manufacturing sector where people invest more time in knowledge. What keeps you going?
So I think there will be, key two, three factors. One, I think the freedom that you get to execute, your plans or your vision. So I think uh, when we wrote down our vision. So when you come to PeopleStrong, you'll see we have a huge vision document, and that's one document that is circulated to every individual who joins the organization, right? And it talks about the spirit of entrepreneurship. That's the top thing, mentioned in the vision. So I think each individual is given that flavor of entrepreneurship. So you are your own boss, you're supposed to manage your own work area, you get a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom to manage it. So you just told that this is, so say for example, when I was setting up, the shared services function, or even say for example when I set up the customer success or the account management function, I had complete free hand and freedom, like just an entrepreneur would have, right? Lay down your vision, the kind of team that you want to have, the kind of technology that you would want to have, the way you would want to, put your support staff together and all of that. So that's the best thing. And the second thing is there is a lot of focus on building an individual, right? So one side of it, the one that I mentioned, is the flexibility and the freedom and the entrepreneurship, right? The second is uh, building your capability in terms of becoming a better leader, right? So your people capability. So that is taking, and I think these two are extremely inherent in the organization, right? And we currently don't have to put any additional effort, right, to drive this agenda. Whosoever becomes a part of the organization will start experiencing these, in the first few weeks by default. And 1.5 2 years down the line, talk to any ex-employees. In fact, one of the brilliant stats that we have is our average tenure, for a 15-year old organization, our average tenure is 7 years plus, you know so that's the kind of retention that we have, right? And almost 60% of our population, 65% of our population is 10 years plus. Right. So in the first 2 to 3 weeks, an individual will experience all of these, start experiencing all of these, right? And at the same time, 2.5 3 years down the line, when you meet that individual, you'll see that person is more of a, showing these traits altogether. So these are the things that you really like about PeopleStrong.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Indeed, emphasizes the best people practices for PeopleStrong. One important point is that we have a lot of students who are growing, and while we talk about, the particular segment which you handle is offbeat HR, because generally people associate is a core operations job, or people associate as a HR consultant. But in terms of your organization, which you does in terms of product services, in terms of services, or what we know about HR services. So there are two questions which, benefit of the students, so everybody is on the same page, is understanding of what is the core job in terms of HR services or in terms of product services. And leading question to this is, do you miss the operations of, in terms of the action of the core operations or HR business partner approach, or the sales is more exciting?
So, I am not out of operations at all. Honestly speaking, you can't do that, because I take a lot of leverage out of that experience, because when I'm doing those conversations with my customer, right, of course, product remains at the center now. I do more of product conversation, but my experience, the SME experience that I have, the functional experience that I had during my initial, 10 years, right, gives me a lot of confidence and leverage in doing those technical solutioning as well, so I can very well. So whenever you try and implement a technology, right, so there will be a lot of requests that will keep on coming from, your HR managers and your typically the customer side of it, right, about doing this customization, and the workflow needs to be this way, and can we do this, can this be done that ways. So here is when I bring in my complete, last 10, 12 years of experience, the functional expertise in trying to solve that, right? So why do you want to do it this way? You want a trigger happening, why do you want to do it this way? This is how it was done, or this is how it is supposed to be done. So that definitely helps. And I'm never out of trust me, I'm never out of operations, is because that will always be a part of me, right? And interestingly, and that is what, to answer the first part of your question, for my customer I'm still a HR specialist, right? I'm still a consultant, I'm still a HR subject matter expert, right? But yes, for the organization, I'm responsible for monetizing it and ensuring that the financials around it is managed well. So that's how it is. So for my customer, will always see me as an HR expert, as a HR tech expert, or probably a subject matter expert of the HR processes and policies. But when I come back to my role within the organization, so I'll be asked about profitability, I'll be asked about the top line and all of that.
That was indeed very interesting, and thank you so much for elaborating so that people are on the same page. Most importantly, when you, as you told, you enjoy sales and you enjoy the numbers, you enjoy the profitability. As you have risen from a founding member to a leader of an organization, specifically leading so many verticals, what do you say about leadership and how do you define a leadership?
Mhm. So, honestly speaking, leadership is not an outward journey, right? And as so I joined PeopleStrong when I was like 21, 22, right? So and adding 14 years from there, right? So my realization has been, it's not the externals that you build around you when you walk the leadership journey. It is more internal and inward. So how do you build yourself as an individual, how authentic you are, and the kind of practices that you follow is what will make you as a leader. It's not about the number of people that you're managing or which level of the organization that you're sitting is going to, the designation is definitely not going to make you the leader, right? There is no second thought about it. It's what you do in terms of your practices is what makes you the leader. But yes, one thing is for sure, empathy and authenticity. These are two traits that definitely needs to be a part of any leader.
Great, thank you so much. I think that would be indeed a learning insight for all our HR and young students. In terms of when we go back and check about when we manage situations, specifically in terms of critical situations in business, there has been a time where the business would have been as expected. So what do you do at that point of time when you know the product which you have pitched have not worked? What do you do? What strategy do you use to overcome failure? What is your strategy to overcome failure?
So, first thing first is you got to be ready that there is going to be a failure, right? And that's what I've learned over the period of time. No matter how well you plan or no matter what you do, you always need to be prepared that there will be one or the other thing which might not go well, right? With experience, what you do is you prepare better. That's the only thing that you can do, right? You will have all those previous experiences coming into play, and you prepare better. But once issue get reported or a problem gets identified, right, or something that needs to be fixed quickly, right, the first thing is acknowledging it. That's very, very important, right? There's no beating around the bush. You acknowledge the problem. How soon can you go back in terms of resolution? And the third and the most important part, I think we all of us miss out, is going back again and reinforcing that there was a problem that was reported and it has been fixed, and it won't happen again. So broadly, these three categories, 3 4 categories. One is your preparation. You need to be prepared, right, all the time, looking at your past experiences. The second is your responsiveness and your turnaround time, right? How soon you go back the customer and acknowledge, yes, there is a problem. Third is how soon you fix it, and when you're fixing it, be absolutely transparent and authentic about why did this problem, or why did this issue happen. you'll gain a lot of confidence from the customer. You'll win the customer in a very different way. And the fourth part is, once all of this is resolved, you summarize, you consolidate, and you go back and saying that, hey, this was the problem, and this is how we resolved it, and this is not going to happen again in future. So that's how you do it.
Okay, thank you so much. That was indeed very a copybook of management, how we studied in our management colleges. So while we, understand from you that how do we understand failure and all, coming out of this particularly new normal, I will not refrain using the word COVID, because let us treat it as another disease and not give it a special treatment. New normal has been, in terms now we are going into new normal, organizations have been hoping it into. What in terms do you feel is a new normal, what you believe, and how does it impact financially, and how the organizations, in terms specifically the mid-size organizations, execute their plan coming out of new normal? So what is your take?
Sure. So when we talk about the new normal, there are definitely key 4 or 5 things. I'm sorry, I have this habit of talking in bullets, but that I think helps in
Correct.
structuring the conversation. But yes, there are definitely 4 or 5 things that are going to come out, and that is coming out as we come out of COVID. One is the entire your cash and liquidity part of it, right? Your cost and your liquidity part of it, right? That is being looked at extremely critically for any size of an enterprise, right? You're small, you're mid, you're huge, because this year is not good at all. And let us admit that there is a huge economic crisis, there is a human crisis, there is an economic crisis, and businesses are suffering. There is no second thought about it. So your liquidity and your cost, right, both of these are being looked extremely critically at all the size of irrespective of the size of the enterprise. That's one part of it. The second thing, right, is your employee health and your employee well-being, right? So when I say health, now over the period of time, it's been like 80-85 odd days, people are working out of home, not going out of their houses, and number of meetings have increased, and you have this pressure of doing more with less of resources. So it's not only about the physical well-being, but it's also about the mental well-being of that individual, right? So this entire well-being thing is also coming into the picture. The third critical part is the entire productivity thing, right? So when I say productivity, so this can be your capital productivity, which is the amount of money that you're investing, right? What's the productivity that you're getting out of it? It can be your technology productivity. So whatever technology that you're implementing currently, or which is there in your organization, irrespective of the area that you're managing, right? What is the productivity there? And third definitely is your people productivity. So that's the third thing, right, which is the productivity. The fourth is your customer is again going to be at the center, and this is going to be in a very different way, right? So your consumer behavior is going to change, right? The way people shop, the way people will go out and eat, the way people will buy stuff. So you need to be agile and flexible in terms of adopting to the new consumer behavior, right? So these are the 4 things in a new normal kind of a setup. So I'll quickly summarize. The first is your cost and liquidity part of it, right? The second is your employee well-being, which is physical and both mental health. The third is your adaptability, your adaptability around the new consumer behavior, right? And the fourth is your productivity, the overall productivity, your capital productivity, your your tech productivity, and your people productivity. Yeah, I think these are the 4 parts.
So much. I think that was indeed very short, crisp, and very effective. While we go ahead in terms, we all understand, while we organizations manage their cost, manage their customers. Specifically, many organizations now have been reinventing their business line of strategy to suit the customer requirement and to sustain in this economic crisis.
Right.
One important point, which as HR people, we are talking about, we are human-centric organizations, most of organizations. So people will be the key focus in terms of execute of any work.
Sure, sure.
But most of the work, specifically at the entry level, is done by the people who come from adjoining areas of Bihar, Bengal, and Jharkhand. And these people have gone away in terms of featuring into a health crisis that they might get. What do you advise? Go back to those organizations where there is a manpower crisis in terms of any solutioning, which you might feel, which might work for them, because most of the HR people are facing this problem, and many of them posted this question to me on a personal chat.
Hmm. Hmm. So this problem is going to stay, and if you look at it, this problem is beyond any organization's control. As an enterprise, you always love to be in control of your problem and your solution, right? But this is one stage where this is one problem which is not in your control. So probably what you'll have to see is how best you can utilize your existing resources till the time all of this resource crunch and your infra thing, all of these don't come back. I mean, that's the only thing that you can recommend, because this is beyond your organization policies and processes or the ways of working that you want to adopt. There is a government involved, there are states involved, there is this entire between the states, transport, communication, and all of that stuff is involved. So not much that you can do. You would hardly have a 10% or a 15% control over this entire situation. The only thing that you can do is whatever that you have at your hand, right? You will have to work with it. The second thing is you would want to invest more around innovation, and this is a great opportunity to look at the areas where the crisis was more, right? And you would want to fix them during this time, because see, there is no new business pressure that you have at this point of time. Of course, you were trying to save yourself at this point of time, but you should also have strategies to identify where you were the weakest during this phase. This can be maybe you did not have enough technology in your area, right? And you were more dependent on the human stuff of it, right? Maybe you would want to look at those areas and implement technology there, right? So look at this as an opportunity where you can fix the weaker side of your business and come out winning, when we say that everything becomes normal.
Great. You also answered my leading question to it. In terms of economic crisis, digitalization is very important, and this is all we embrace gracefully. But spending in this economic crisis, when all the organizations are trying to sustain, is it a very tough ask? When you advise organizations that we should adapt technology and automate most of our functions which were people dependent and make them system dependent. But in economic crisis, everything comes with a price.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's again a challenge. How do you want to focus on that?
So I'll tell you how this is going to happen, and we've given a lot of thought about it. You would not believe, in the last 60, 70 odd days, right? We have implemented like 160 odd HR modules for 70 plus customers. That's the kind of implementation speed that we have had, right? And it has happened all remotely, and there are new acquisitions also that are happening now. You need to understand where your investment, of course money is extremely critical at this point of time, right? But you need to understand where you would want to invest. So say, even if you plan to invest in a good collaboration platform, right, that helps you manage your productivity, that helps you manage your tasks, that helps you manage your goals and objectives, right? Because you will work in a remote environment currently, right? Employees spread all across, working from different location, team meetings in person not happening. You would want to have something that can help everybody get together, right? And we have one of our products by the name of Zippy, right, which does all of this, helps you do all of that. Now you don't have your travel cost at this point of time, right? You're saving probably on your reimbursement and other cost, right? You're saving on your infra cost probably, right? At this point of time, not spending that much. Can you see, you redirect those costs towards a far more efficient and effective setup. We all know that one thing which was constant, and one thing that we could rely and be dependent on during these 80, 90 odd days was technology. right? Me and you could talk now and we can address this, this team here, right? The group here is because of technology. So this was the most dependable constant that we can think of, right? So whatever cost that you are saving probably, or whatever cost that you see that it can be redirected, think about it and redirect towards technology, right? I'm not saying buy some very huge big fancy technology and have a big dent on your books. That's not what I'm recommending. But whatever best that you can do, try and see if you can do that.
I find so similar answer last time when we had interviewed a couple of CEOs in last sessions of the series, and we asked them this question. They told that whenever HR brings something to a solution to a table, he should have all the answers to that.
Sure,
If you do
sure.
not have all the answers to that, then you are preparing for a failure,
Yes.
because that everything will come and boil down to a cost. I
Hmm.
am today convinced of this answer, how you have explained me, that we all are capable to invest cost in technology. And if it's just the outlook, how you change it for a
Yes.
long-term
Yeah.
solution.
Yes.
Coming to this leading question also, in terms you will sell these technologies to HR people, and they will in line go to their business heads and get that approval and come back to you, for the execution. You have seen HR transform last 15 years, over 15 years, and our role from transactional to have become transformational. What change have you seen in HR field, HR professionals in last 15 years when you pass out in today? Specifically, you get a better view of them because you are looking at from the other side of the chair. You're not
Sure.
amongst us.
Sure. Sure.
What is your idea of that?
So I think two, three things that definitely have happened is people are looking for a more valued role, right? So the whole idea of managing employee grievances, right, and managing employee data or employee record. I think there is this maturity which is come in place where people want to move beyond that role and pass it on to technology solutions, right? Let technology do that work. So that's one that has definitely happened. The second thing that has happened is the HR team has become far more tech savvy, right? Initially you would have teams only managing HR technology piece of it, but now you will see core HR team members also leading technology projects, right? So you are not dependent on IT anymore. Initially, if you look at the traditional approach of implementing technology, there will be a HR person and there will be an IT person, right? But now you see roles, they're merging together. You will see a HR specialist, right, who understands technology and is leading those kind of implementation. That's the second thing. The third interesting thing that has also happened is there is a lot of financial understanding that has come in, right? And when I say financial understanding, don't get me wrong, we understand finances pretty well because we do a lot of compensation stuff, right? So when I say financial understanding, this is moved beyond compensation and it has moved into the business side of it. So whenever there is a cost conversation that is happening, implementation conversation that is happening, a hiring spurge that we want to manage, all of that. So I think the financial part of it is pretty well taken care of these days, become more finance savvy. So I think ye teen pocket I can see in my journey, I can see there is a maturity that has happened.
Thank you so much. Somebody messaged me inbox ki Ayan is our role model. Now we'll leave operations and move on to the sales. So, so because we as people team really, we said, people look at it when we interview anybody. I always believe HR is the best salesman because projecting something which can be illusionary or which can be a real is not an art, which is easy. Leading to this answer which you have given is my question is role of HR, specifically how you have narrated the situation, the solutions, and the focus. What do you see a role of HR?
Mm.
How important is role of HR in now organizations specifically who have got impacted by this pandemic? How do you see their role and what they need to do specifically? What do you advise them to all the HR leaders?
So I think what is important is recalibrate and relook at your strategy for the year that you had put. this was probably January and February. All organization will get together, the entire organization will get together, HR will be asked to lay down the strategy for the next year. What is the people agenda, what is the culture agenda, what is the communication agenda, and all of that, right? So it is important at this point of time, and in fact a lot of organizations should have already done it. So revisit and reprioritize your stuff that you would have picked up for this year, right? So segregate and differentiate between what is a nice to have thing and what is a must have thing, right? Maybe I'll just take an example. Say for example, you thought of investing in a new competency framework, right? Is that the need now? Probably not, right? Instead of a competency framework, probably you would want to come out with a easy and a less cost involved productivity framework, right? Where you're able to measure, people working from remote places. So that's how you reprioritize. At the same time, you can also look at some of your core processes, right? Say for example, your entire hiring process, right? So how do you revisit that? You might have to rewrite jobs, you might have to rewrite work, right? You might have to look at your performance measurement process in a very different way again. So these are some of the areas that you might want to revisit, right? And you will have to reprioritize your goals. So reprioritize between your short term and your long term. So your long term thing might not be that necessity at this point of time, because nobody has a clear view of the long term, right, at this very point of time. So you might want to just look at and prioritize your short term and mid term goals for the next 6 to 8 months probably.
Thank you so much. I think that's indeed very insightful for all HR leaders. While somebody keep messaging me, so I keep incorporating those questions into my discussion as well.
Sure,
So
sure.
people say business leaders are serious. While we speak to Ayan, he seems very calm, composed, and relaxed. So, what is your take on that? Are business leaders who handle finance are really serious and they are very particular about only money? This is what the notion of the people is of business leaders.
I don't know how to answer that, and I don't know whether that's a compliment or that goes against a business leader's image. But I think some of it has definitely come from the workplace, definitely, right? So you meet our leaders, you will never find them too serious, right? And one fundamental that we definitely carry in our heart, and that's probably because I've spent my entire career here, and this organization has built me, and wherever whatever that you see of me is a reflection of PeopleStrong, definitely, right? But yes, approachability is something that we practice. So there is no hierarchy when anybody has to walk. This was a couple of months back when somebody came back and said to me, why do you do this? You allow anyone to walk in your cabin and just talk about, and this can be the level 0 and level 1, and why do you do that? But that's how probably the entire organization works, and that has come into my way of working as well.
That was indeed, we are pleasantly also surprised and very happy that business leaders are not something which we have to fear of, but to express something which is more rational. You have to be rational when you interact with them. While we talk about HR, we also have to talk about human touch, specifically in the arena where we
Sorry,
are.
I missed that. I missed that.
Human touch.
Sure. Yeah.
So while in the arena, in the people function, we always focus on human touch, people interaction, empathy, sympathy. While this was relevant in IT companies, work from home, but now we are forced to adapt this, and slowly and gradually many organizations are seeing a benefit out of it in terms which you already mentioned, in terms of saving costs and the overhead expenses. Specifically, how do you take this work from home specifically as a major revamping policies which many organizations have introduced and rolled out as work from home? And second, the flip side is, as HR people, we need to go back and have a human touch, face-to-face interaction, which by not by choice, but out of compulsion, we are not able to do it. How does technology give that feeling? Because because everything has to be an underlying feeling to that. Technology might give you an interface, technology might give you a platform, but that feeling of while we are talking, had it be talking in person, the amount of warmth would have been more. But over the technology has its own limitations. So how do you see a work from home and this human touch enabling technology?
Hmm, hmm. So,
So
sure.
yes, yes, please.
I have 2-3 views here, right? And so while everybody is celebrating about this entire work from home thing, and we got to spend a lot of time with family now and all of that, got our relationships now pretty well managed. The time that I was not able to give my kid and all of that. But having said that, it is important that as HR team we help employees to balance this work from home thing, right? It should not be overwhelming. I'll tell you a flip side of it. There is this entire pressure on everyone, right, across the organization, that we need to do more, we need to be more productive, I need to secure my job, and I have to see to it that everybody has a visibility of that I'm doing more and all of that. That brings in a lot of added pressure on an individual, right? And these days, because of this virtual setup, right, you don't have spaces in between meetings. There have been days that I just flip calendars from one team's meeting to another team's meeting to another Zoom call, and since I'm not physically moving, right, I don't have any breathing space in between, right? These are just screens changing, right? It's that fast. So it is very, very important to see that all of this entire work from home setup does not become overwhelming for employees, right? There are people who balance it out really well. The IT industry over the period of time has mastered the art, right? The way that you mentioned, the larger population was, at least they had a lot of flexibility, and some part of the population, at least some part of the week, they were working out of home, and they have the culture on it. But some of the other industries were not used to working from home, right? It can really become overwhelming for that individual and also for the family members, right? And if you don't know where to draw the boundary. Now, as HR teams, right? So that's the business side of it, right? Now, as HR team, it is very, very important that you lay down your policies well here around the work from home thing, right? And when I say lay down the policies, it is important that you talk to the business leaders, that they are giving enough space, right? Mental space, the breathing space to their employees, where they're trying to their team members, where they're trying to get more productivity out of them. So it is very, very important that you balance it out well, and HR team members will definitely have to play a bigger role here. So as you rewrite the jobs, as you rewrite the way deliveries are to be done, as you rewrite the way the outcomes are to be measured, as you rewrite the way in terms of your performance matrix, please see to it that all of this new entire setup doesn't become overwhelming for the common employee, the non-people managers, or even the people managers also.
Thank you so much. While you narrated that it has been overwhelming, I got two responses in personal chat. One telecom company do not gives that privilege, and second is though employees are enjoying, but our spouses have not been very happy seeing our
I
faces.
know. And I'm telling you, I'm telling you, for us, the ones who were to travel a lot and go to office, right, that really has saved a lot of time. But imagine, and this is just a food for thought that I'm leaving, your travel time used to be your breathing time, right? The amount of time that would take to reach office, or even from the parking space to your office premises, or even from the ground floor to the seventh floor, these were all breaks and breathers that you were getting, right? You would walk up to a coffee machine, to the water cooler, talk to people, walk to somebody else's work. So these were breathers and breaks that you were getting, which you are not getting now. So initial days you might get a little now you might enjoy it, but over the period of time, 6 months, 8 months down the line, if you don't build a routine around it, it can really cause a lot of fatigue.
That's a very important point that we should all take care balancing our work and health. Very importantly, while we do work from home, it is also important for some organizations who have really got impacted. And unfortunately, some employment have been impacted in terms of working in those. As a business leader, if I put you this question that specifically job cuts or pay cuts, while many organizations have taken this path, as a business leader, what do you suggest? Do you suggest holding an employee without a pay for a specific period of time, or you cut short the relationship and let him go so that he is free to search? What is your take about as a business leader specifically? Because many organizations have taken this path.
So I'll split this question into two parts, right? So one is the entire compensation part of it. The second is letting go of our colleagues or the employees. So when it comes to compensation, right? The entire, say for example, a pay cut or a deferred incentive payout, a bonus, or maybe no increment happening, and all of that, right? So it is important to realize in context of the current situation, right? And what is very very important to understand that this is done to survive and sustain, right? It's not that there are earnings happening, there is a huge profitability, there is a huge revenue. Most of the organizations, right, are not getting any new business, right? And there is no visibility also of when this is going to improve. So I think these are measures where organizations are probably trying to survive and sustain, and this is a part of that entire exercise. Now, having said that, here is what I would recommend for our HR team members: do simulations, right? When I say simulation, sit with your CEO, sit with your CFO, right, and prepare plans, right, and see to it what is that helps you achieve your business goal better. This is what has linkage to your second point around layoff, right? So if, say for example, between a layoff and a salary cut, you have a better simulation, probably you would want to go with the first one, right, given a choice. So it completely depends on how good you are in terms of the simulations that you do, the scenarios that you build with you. And you'll have to work very closely with the CFO and the CEO's office, right, and build around those decisions or the revised strategies that they're placing, and create your simulation around the entire compensation part of it. These are not easy decisions, these are not happy decisions, but the whole idea is, again, there is this 90-10 principle, right? If the 10%, wherever you're taking that decision, is going to save the 90%, right, probably you want to take the 10% decision. And also it is important, and guys, please take out time and read the way the Airbnb CEO communicated. I'm not sure whether you've gone through that or not. So there was a almost 25 to 30% layoff that happened at Airbnb, and the CEO communicated the entire process to the larger organization. There are huge there is a huge should I say example, that's a huge example that we have, the way that he had done that communication. And he mentioned it very specifically. It is not about that individual, it is not about that individual or that person. The action is not taken against that individual or that person, it's for that position. Keeping in line with my new strategy, as my external world is changing as an organization, the new strategy that I'm putting in place for survival, some of the positions, some of the roles might not work going forward, right? And it is the outcome of the elimination of that role or position that some of the peoples are getting impacted. So there is nothing personal about it, right? And of course there has to be empathy, sympathy, respect, and all of that around it, but then it is more about the position, and it's not about that individual.
Thank you so much. That echoed the same thoughts last time we were interviewing Mr. Pankaj Dubey, his ex-MD of Polaris, and he echoed the same thoughts while we were, also that if the 10% goes, you should think that the 90% people have given their commitment to save the company, and
Yes.
that kind of if you are able to incorporate that kind of influence and that kind of ownership amongst everybody, then the culture of the organization is set to be, because all these people will be called back as soon as your business stabilizes.
Yes, yes,
Also, very important point, while we talk about these are very difficult discussions which we are having, and while we can only idealize, because the people who undergo them has to have a lot of brainstorming and
yes,
has to
yes,
see.
yes,
While manpower is seen as a first initial heavyweight cost, so entire discussion happens. That is why we are discussing the manpower, because that's one of the very important cost factors in business management, specifically communication and employee engagement. While we spoke about recruitment, we spoke about layoff, and now coming back to engagement. I would like specifically to answer like these 90 days under the lockdown which we have been. How does employee engagement has taken a shape, and what is your idea? Because employee engagement earlier used to we used to do physical activities, then we used to do WhatsApp activities, in terms of reward and recognition ceremonies, picnics, so all kinds of activities which involve people to people connect.
hmm
How employee engagement has taken, and any solution which you would have come back, which has taken as a more important and aspect of employee engagement as a tool or as a product.
Sure. So I think so. There are two sides to it. One is how better you can use technology to engage your employees, right? So the collaboration platform that we were talking about, Zippy, right? So it has got an AI chatbot which is by the name of Ginny, right? And it's like your executive assistant, right? And it helps you in the entire day to perform a lot of your routine tasks. Not only that, it does a lot of other stuff also. It talks about your health, your well-being, whether you've taken a break, you've not taken a break, did you wash your hand on time, and you're taking care of your hygiene and all of that, right? So that and this entire collaboration platform, right, also helped us keep stay in connect with our employees. That's one side of it. The second is you will have to come out with innovative ideas. There is no other way, because large gatherings are not going to happen anytime soon, right? And so the fundamental of connect is going to change, right? We used to feel that we meet somebody in person, shake hands, do a hug. That fundamentally shifting altogether. So you will have to figure out ways of how do you connect with the larger group and larger population. Some of the things that we did at our end is, we had Zoom sessions where we did employee talent hunt and talent competition. That was one. We did e-tambola also. so so all of these you'll have to figure. So we did some film quizzes also. You can do all of that, and at the same time it is very very important. And this is one practice that we follow in PeopleStrong. Every people manager is a HR manager. No one in PeopleStrong, right, in my organization is no people manager in my organization is allowed to say that please go and check with HR, right? So you should know end to end, take complete end to end responsibility of your employee, be it compensation, be it his work, be it his any personal challenge that the individual is facing. So in a nutshell, three ways to do it, right? One, the first thing is use an technology. See what all you can do. You can take the help of AI, you can take the help of chatbot to keep your employee engaged, right? To see to it that the connect is there, and the employee doesn't feel that there's a miss out in terms of communication that is happening, right? That's one. The second thing is you'll have to come out with innovative ways of engaging with the employee, because physical meeting and physical connect is not going to happen anytime soon, right? So all innovative ways that you have to think of. The third part is equip your people manager. Ask them to become HR managers. How are they helping their employees to manage their work? Ask them to do conversations beyond work. These days so much of conversation that keeps on happening around project management, process sahi nahi hua, visibility is not there, not send the report, what are you doing, I don't see you in office around, so I don't know whether you're working or not working. So there has to be conversations beyond that. Ask the people manager to send people on forced breaks. Ask the people manager to ask employees to take forced leave also. All of this can happen in the work from home environment as well. And ask people to have, I'll tell you what we also do sometimes. What we do is in 15 days we'll have a lunch together. This is over the laptop and no other conversation. you know, somebody got a new dog, a new puppy. So a 10-minute session with the puppy, with our kids around, over the laptop, and we will see each other's kid and with the so you will have to figure out ways of doing it, and it has to go beyond HR. You can't kick HR for everything out.
I'm just enthralled by the way how you have mentioned this connect, specifically when we, I love the way, in terms when we all face challenges and we have a shortcomings. The way as a business leader you have focused that, in spite of not things all right, what can you do right? What is in your control? And focus on that. Coming back to there, while we move to the last phase of our questions, and these questions are specifically so we name this session as idiot questions.
Okay.
So while we these questions come from the audience, and most of these questions might not have a rationale to it, but everybody has a query and we like to answer them. So the first question which has come from the audience is that as product specialist or as a technology specialist, still, we have come of ages, we are in 2020, people think technology snatches jobs. So specifically when you propose any HR technology and you train people through the HR services and the young people who are there to train and embrace and adapt the technology, I have not come across where anybody's job has been taken away due to technology. But still, there is a notion, that uh, the companies who sell these products and all, have impact on job stability and security. So I would just like you to clear this thoughts. So I am in line that nothing happens, but the audience has asked this question.
So two views here, right? Two views here, and we come across this question. I personally come across this question many times. One is from becoming a doer, become an enabler, right? So from becoming from one of the person who's trying to who manages record keeping on the technology platform, right? Go beyond it, right? And these are some of the skills which will be valued in the post COVID times also. How you upskill yourself, how you change your current role and move into a different role altogether. So from just being a record keeper, understand the complete framework and the complete technology behind how this is happening altogether. You never know, you might become an enabler or implementer of that going forward across in the organization. So that's one side of it. The second side, and I don't know whether it is right to say or not, don't restrict yourself only if you are an HR. Don't restrict yourself only in the HR team or only within the HR domain that you want to work with, right? Think about multiple different roles. You can pick up technology projects, you can pick up productivity projects, you can move to a finance team, you can move to some other business team also. And if you do that, it completes you as a leader, right? So as an HR person, you need to have a 360-degree view of what is happening across the organization and what is happening with regards to the business. So at any point of time, if you feel that maybe because of technology, right, there is certain percentage of my work which is dependent on which I used to do now gets managed by technology. Walk up to your manager, walk up to the management and ask for a different role, right? It might sound a little easy, but a lot of us have done this in our career, that if we can go and ask for a different role altogether, a little bit of a different flavor, right? So I think that's the approach.
Great, thank you so much. I think that's indeed clears the air coming from you specifically as a motivator and as an enabler. Specifically, this is there and it comes from you as a clarification. It helps a lot of youngsters. Linked to this, another question which I've got from the audience is that due to this pandemic, young students who are going to pass out in college and young HR professionals specifically who have got impacted due to their career growth or in terms of job, what do you advise to both of these learners, that what do they should do coming out from here, what they should do differently so that they can make their, because some people come back and say, do we join industries who have not got impacted, so we join a recession proof industry, So what they should do? What do you advise the youngsters who are there, students
So,
and
so, so firstly, let me acknowledge it's a very, very, difficult and tough times for these young, people and for these young minds. They were all geared up and charged up to get into work and do their best and put in the world. So I think three things that I would recommend them. Yeah. First is you need to have patience. Why is because you probably your prospective employer or the organization that you've dreamt of, right, has a different hiring policy or a different hiring plan all together, right, and a different business strategy all together. So you need to have patience till the time all of these doesn't go away. The second thing is, don't get frustrated, and don't get too worried, because this is not about a sprint. This is going to be a marathon, right? So you need to differentiate between a sprint and a marathon. A bad year doesn't mean that your 25-30 years of career is going to not happen. So maybe a year, but understand the difference between a sprint and a marathon, right? That's the second thing. The third thing is, use this time, right, utilize this time to make yourself more relevant. So whatever probably you've learned when you passed out your college might not be relevant completely in the next 6 to 8 months, right? Keep a watch, keep an eye of how the industries, your targeted industries, your loved industries, where you want to work, right, how they are changing. Say for example, a Mahindra has moved to a e-selling of its XUV. Can you imagine? So maybe if you are a sales or a marketing individual, and planning to sell cars, now the mode and the methodology might change. You might be doing a lot of e-selling now, right? So maybe you need to upskill yourself accordingly. So three distinct areas: have patience, right? Tell your mind that it's a marathon and not a sprint. And the third thing is, utilize this opportunity to upskill yourself, acquire those additional skills, and acquire those additional knowledge that might help you 1.5 year down the line to get into your desired industry.
thank you so much. That is indeed beneficial for all the young students, specifically everybody, those who look at this. So this is a learning which everybody needs to inculcate over going to. Somebody has also asked me in personal chat, how do we apply for PeopleStrong? So I will not. So I will not ask that question. So that's the question. Anyway, so moving forward, I have last few questions before we close this session. A quick rapid fire. How do you self motivate?
How do I self motivate? I think I reflect.
Great. What is your hobby?
I read.
Great. Any favorite books for our larger audience would you like to recommend, which you have?
Uh, so one book, that kind of changed. This was 6-7 years back when I was traveling somewhere. I picked up this book, which says, who will cry when you die. This is by Robin Sharma, and it is not a book actually, but these are small lessons about life. So I think a kind of a push towards my leadership journey, should I say? It happened once I read that book.
Favorite food?
Favorite food, I think I would say, actually, I'm not a foodie, but pasta, maybe. Yeah, I cook. I've started cooking these days a little bit, so maybe yes, that's what I'm
Out
doing.
of the 4 sessions which I've done with 4 CEOs and 3 CEOs and one CHRO, three of them have told pasta. So if you have to pick out a leader, we have to all start to move to pasta. Last time,
Possible.
Mr. Pankaj also said pasta. Mrs.
Oh, is it?
Mallika Bhargava, CHRO of Airtel Payments Bank, she also mentioned pasta. Now you also mentioned pasta. So we will all move to pasta. And the last question,
Sure.
biggest stress buster.
My son is a three.
Uh,
He's 3.5. So I think
Great.
that is it.
I don't think I'm out of questions, honestly, but in the paucity of time and while interest of everybody who has joined in, more than a sum up, this again session focused us that not to fear business leaders, but to talk and understand their ideas. That is one important lesson which I understood after discussing with you and the last 4 sessions which I've done. Most importantly, also that there is a light in the end of the tunnel. And technology, if you embrace and move towards digitalization, that will really help you to enable and accelerate your business. And also, there are technologies available where you can connect with people. So this is some takeaways which we all get, and specifically, everybody is connecting with me to understand more about Zippy. So I will redirect everybody to connect to PeopleStrong representative to know about Zippy in
Sure.
terms. And I think that's because anything which we bring as a revolution needs to be there. For us, Team Sampark and Young Minds, we are enthralled to have you because, as I said, I at a moment when I was at around half an hour past session, I forgot that we are on a Zoom call, and I thought we are a cup of coffee, and we are connecting, and that's how the discussion went. And more this learning, which I strongly believe, that even if we are able to impact one life, and your words, your ideas, your insights, if they are even able to impact one life, the purpose of our session will get sorted. And that's how I look at it. We thank you from the bottom of our heart for taking time out
Oh, thank you
for.
so much for having me. No second thought about it. Very engaging, interesting questions. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we look forward to meet you personally, Team Sampark, all together when we are in Gurgaon in our chapter, and all our audience. While I'm getting a lot of personal chats and we have kept it live, everybody has enjoyed it. This is absolutely one of the very key sessions where we were not frightened that we were speaking to a business leader, and we thought more of that if we approach in a rational, ethical, and a structured manner, any proposal can get through it, and we don't fear about our jobs. Also, most of the young students might be there. Thank you so much, Ayan, for taking time out on this one single day which you get in
No,
your
no.
week, and
Thank you.
it was an engaging and one of the learning sessions which we all have. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ayan.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
so much.
me. Stay well, everyone. Take care. All the best.
Thank you so much, Ayan. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great week ahead,
Thank you.
starting tomorrow.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.